welcome to Natural Law Health. This is Patty, and in today's video I would like to talk a little bit about some of the physical responses that allopathic or orthodox medicine likes to create fear around, because there is this theme that if we can make everybody afraid, they'll follow, our recommendations. Before I get into that, though, I was reading my emails every morning, and I answer student emails, and then I also get emails through my website where people can join my mailing list or just join and ask questions. I typically, if I'm emailing a health-related question, I just give basic, generalized recommendations for the most part, because without, a more in-depth analysis of what's going on in your physical body, it's hard to kind of recommend specific things. But there are some general recommendations that I can advise for most people when they're not feeling well or they're dealing with any type of issue. One thing I share with my students is when we talk about inflammation, and I think I mentioned this on the last video. So inflammation has 4 basic cardinal signs: redness, swelling, heat, and pain. And then wherever that's occurring in the body, you take the suffix itis, I-T-I-S, tag that on to that organ name or to the term that refers to that organ, and there's your diagnosis, right? So I mentioned like pancreatitis, gastritis, hepatitis. They're all inflammation of. And I had somebody email me through my website, naturallawhealth.com, and I do health consultations, by the way. And I'm trying to rev up my the work that I'm doing outside of my 9-to-5 academic career as a college professor, because we need more of the health promoting work out there, and that's what I want to do. So anyway, before I digress too much, this person emailed me and told me that they were dealing with an inflammatory condition that their doctors told them outright was something that can't be cured, can only be controlled, can only be maintained. Isn't that like a nice thing to say if your job is to continue to sell pharmaceutical drugs? We want to keep people on these drugs for the rest of their lives. So we're not going to tell them that anything can be cured. We're just going to tell them that we can maintain your kind of low level of health, keep you alive so that you can continue to, pay taxes and promote the system we're living in called government, sorry. And that's what they want, right? They just want you to stay on the drugs. So, when I was reading this, my first response, the first thing that I thought was, in allopathic medicine, they can't cure anything. That's not what they're trained to do. They're trained to maintain a low state of health, or what I like to call disease maintenance. They're not here to, help the body go back to a state of balance, homeostasis, health, true health, because the reason why they're not trained to do that, because they can't do that with the tools that they have. Drugs, which are suppressive, surgeries, which are removing organs, or cutting into the human body is just a very, intensive, invasive way to treat anything. But they just can't. They're not trained to do that. So you're kind of asking the wrong person. If you want to get off the drugs, if you want to truly heal, and you go to an allopathic physician, unless they've switched to the light side, they're not going to be able to help you. Okay? The only place, and I've said this many times, the only place where allopathic training shines is in emergency medicine. So, in 2015, I was rock climbing and I fell and I really messed up my ankle. And I was grateful for a very well-trained orthopedic surgeon that was able to put my ankle back into a normal position, and now I can walk again. Emergencies, that's where we need to have allopathic types of physicians. But because of the Flexner report, allopathy has now spread into all, and I don't even want to call it health, but they've spread everywhere. And there's specializations, and they claim that they are the sole provider of your health. And they're creating more problems than they're actually helping. So yeah, they're not the ones to go to if you're dealing with a chronic issue or if you want to get off drugs. That's not the place to go to, all right? So anyway, I don't want this to be a really long video. I do have to teach in a little bit, but I want to talk about fever, all right? So the ability, and so first of all, I think one thing that, when I talk about what a disease is, diseases are just collections of symptoms that allopaths have given a name to. That's all they are. And they own diseases. So when I work with the clients that want to regain lost health, I tell them I don't deal with diseases. We're just dealing with what your body is telling you. So we're going back to that innate wisdom. What is your body telling you? And how can we help your body return to a state of balance where it can then, do what it's meant to do, as opposed to the loss of function or the pain that you might be feeling. So that's kind of, what symptoms are and what disease is really. Diseases are in the world of allopathic medicine, and why even play their game? Let them play their own game, and hopefully as more people come on board, we can help people become aware that there's a game that you don't want to play, especially when your health is on the line. So fever is something that allopaths will tell you, oh, fevers are always bad. You need to bring that temperature down. You need to not have a fever. I mean, now we have people with, thermometer guns that they put right there at your third eye. And if you have a fever, you have to go away. They don't even want you around, right? They don't want people to have fevers. And then people are so brainwashed with the fear. They're like taking their temperature every day. They're even allowing invasive diagnostic types of procedures where they're sticking. And this is like, when I was in medical school, this was not even something that was done. Sticking a swab way up into the nasopharynx. So we're bypassing the nasal cavity, going posterior to that in an area called the nasopharynx. Right above that, we have what is called the cribriform plate. Really, the cribriform plate is the roof of the nasal cavity, but I think that's where they're going, right? So either into the nasopharynx or even up into the cribriform plate, that whole region. So the nasopharynx, the posterior wall, is where your pharyngeal tonsil is. But above, in the roof, you have the cribriform plate, which has holes through it, which allows the olfactory nerves to pick up sensations of smell. And right above that is the frontal lobe of your brain. So there's a very thin barrier right there, right? And they're going up there, possibly damaging it. And, that is, by the way, a route where, and again, the whole germ theory of disease, I question. But, if pathogens or if toxins, maybe we should call them toxins, if things could spread into the area of the brain, that's the closest place where they have direct access to our brain. So it's very kind of questionable that they're taking, they're analyzing, stuff in that region. Very invasive. You'd think that they'd find a less invasive way to test for something that's not even a big problem, that's not even hurting that many people. And again, we're not talking about the germ theory of disease right now because that's not what this is about. Well, kind of it is. But fever, let's talk about fever. Fevers are so important. Fevers are really, if you have health, you can mount a fever. Most people nowadays, especially older people, they're so sick that they don't have that vital force energy to even create a fever. which is a powerful way to burn off toxic accumulations, helping the body to eliminate. I mean, fevers are just great. My mentor, Dr. Robert Morse, one of the things he's still around, but he would always say when I first, started to listen to him, and then I ended up working with him, he used to always say, hug a person with a cold. Try to, get your body, especially if you're not feeling too well, get your body into a state where it can, be triggered to heal more efficiently. And that's what a fever does. It raises your body's temperature, and it helps to kind of burn things off. And, so the fever has, this is what I teach to my students, it has 3 phases. During the stadium phase, your temperature is going up, and then you're kind of at this new set point. And then there's the 3rd phase, defervescence, where your body temperature comes back to the normal 98.6 or 37 degrees centigrade. And during defervescence, you break out into a sweat as you're releasing that heat. Well, sweating is the way to cool your body down, because as the blood comes to your skin surface, the sweat pulls the heat out of your blood, and that cools your body down. And sweating is a wonderful way to detoxify. When you're sweating, your pores are open. It's a way to release. Dr. Morse calls the skin the 3rd kidney, because not only do the sweat glands release, mostly water in the form of sweat, but they can also release toxic accumulations. In fact, many people that have chronic diseases where their kidneys are suffering, one way they eliminate is through the skin. Like, think of diabetics. People with diabetes mellitus, often they have a certain smell about them because their kidneys are very stressed. When you have diabetes mellitus, your kidneys quite stressed. That's why if you have diabetes mellitus, you want to do whatever you can to help strengthen your kidneys, strengthen your pancreas, get your body back on board. Especially type 2 diabetes mellitus, very easy to reverse. Type 1 takes a little bit more work, but you can help your body with becoming stronger if that's a condition you're dealing with. So, fever is a wonderful way to heal. It should not be suppressed. Fever should not be suppressed. It's very, very incredibly rare that a fever would go so high, like, where you're in dangerous territory with body temperatures like 111 degrees Fahrenheit. 170, 118 degrees Fahrenheit, we start denaturing, unfolding bodily proteins. Proteins, that category of organic molecules, is the most abundant in the human body. And when those start unfolding, we're losing function, because the proteins are the doers. They work. They work as antibodies. They work as enzymes. They work as hormones. So they're doing things within the body, and if they unfold and lose their shape, they lose their function. So when you're at a very high temperature, you're close to you're doing that to your own enzymes. But most people, when they get a temperature, it goes up to 103, 104. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that should be welcomed. It's going to feel unpleasant. You're going to feel sick. But if you have a fever and you let it stay at 103, 104, 105 even, if you're a child, children often get up to 105. Children are their vital force is so strong that they're really good at doing this. This is why children get what we call the childhood diseases or the childhood illnesses, because their bodies are strong enough to respond so effectively. What happens with, a chronic lifestyle, where you're taking in crappy food and you're stressed and you're not getting outside, you're not exercising, you're not living a natural lifestyle. When you do that chronically, your body becomes so worn down, you don't even have the vital force strength to mount a healing response. So, a lot of what we need is to get back to that vital force, youth energy, where we have the ability to do that. All right, so I just wanted to kind of share those words, those thoughts. I'm going to be trying to put more videos out more frequently, keeping them somewhat short. I'm going to be putting my website in the description. It's always in the description. Also, alternative ways you can reach me. If you're watching this on YouTube, who knows if I'm going to be around on YouTube with what's going on, but I'm on LBRY. I'm also a content contributor, content creator on the One Great Work Network, which there are so many great contributors there. If you really want to learn about natural law, health, truth, please, check that out. Check out Mark Passio's work. And we'll end it here. Have a wonderful day, and till the next